Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Planet Film Network. It is the day that we've been waiting for since what, like 2019.
Yeah,
First,
probably
the
something like
first
that.
like teaser, but even longer in just knowing that a movie is gonna come out called The Batman. At the time, we thought it was gonna be starring, written, and directed by Ben Affleck. That didn't work out,
Mhm.
but hopefully this review will. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell, and we are here. Another episode of PFN Reviews to review The Batman 2022. Um, yeah, I think we both have similar thoughts, I want to say. One of us maybe likes it a little bit more than the other one, but neither of us dislike it, I feel like, probably,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, so who wants to go first? You want to go first? Go with your initial
Um,
thoughts first, or you want me to
yeah,
go?
I'll cover my initial thoughts. So right
Okay.
now, up on the channel we have my initial like out of the theater reaction and review is on there for you to check out. So I'll just start right off with I gave this a 5 out of 5 for me. Um, I would say I've seen it twice now,
hmm
and if I can get the height on my chair working. There we go. I've seen it twice now, and it is still held at that 5 out of 5. Um, we'll get more into kind of where I feel like it kind of falls for me now that I've seen it twice, a little bit later on probably. But just initial reactions, the the feeling and the weight and the groundedness of everything just really worked for me. I just like from the first scene where you have the shot, like the scene in Mayor Miller's apartment that then
hmm
reveals the Riddler behind him. I was like, just the way that that unfolded, the narration at the top and then at the end of the movie, kind of bookending it, really worked for me. And I really think the thing that really like shines for this movie is the journey, the personal journey, and the personal growth that um, Bruce Wayne and Batman go on in this movie, because Batman is a very different character. Well, he's a very different character at the start of the movie to then what he realizes he needs to become at the end. So we don't get to
hmm
see that full transformation, but he realizes that, kind of similar themes that we've seen in previous Batman movies and Batman comics and stuff is, he kind of realizes that he needs to become more than just a symbol of fear. And I feel like that is the core and the driving strength of this movie, as well as obviously incredible performances. I mean, Robert Pattinson goes without saying, incredible performance, but also you got Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano, um, John Turturro, so many others that I'm sure we'll talk about all of them in turn here. But yeah, overall, that's my initial thoughts on everything in kind of a non-spoiler sense, because this is after we give our initial thoughts, this will be full spoilers. So you are forewarned, but I will give it still a 5 out of 5.
Cool. Yeah, so I've seen it once. I saw it last night at 8 o'clock. I do want to see it again, but like I told you, maybe with more of a comfortable seating arrangement than what I had,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But yeah, I really liked this movie. Um, I thought it was great. I thought Robert Pattinson was great. I thought Zoe Kravitz was great. I thought they had some great chemistry between the two. Um, I was really surprised how much I actually enjoyed Andy Serkis as Alfred. He didn't have much time on screen, but I
Mm-hmm.
felt he did the most with what he had. Jeffrey Wright and Robert Pattinson's chemistry was also great. I really liked seeing Jeffrey Wright in that role as Gordon. Um, and
Definitely.
I still don't know how that is Colin Farrell. I mean, it looks literally nothing like him. Uh, and I thought he did a great job as well. I mean, everybody did a great job, in my opinion. Like, there was no bad performances, I'd say.
Yeah.
Maybe Paul Dano kind of leaks into a sort of maybe Jim Carrey esque Riddler at times with his performance. I'd say it gets a
Oh,
little
okay.
goofy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Now that just might be. the script or
Like, do you think goofy in a bad way, or like
I don't
how
even
you
know if
feel?
in a bad way, but it's like he's like making me laugh where it's like I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think mostly in the kind of face to face in the later in the movie, like toward like
Yeah.
start of the third act, kind of. I liked like I thought it was shot beautifully. One,
Mm-hmm.
there was a few shots in there that I was kind of like that just were weird to me. Mainly two that I'm thinking of that we could talk about in spoilers, even though they're not really spoilers, but
Mm-hmm.
that I was kind of like maybe you cut that or you just don't show that because it looks weird. Um, some of the some things with the writing. Actually, the writing was good overall, except there was like one or two spots where I was like, that sounded weird,
Yeah.
But I think with you, like what you're saying, like the overall arc and everything of Batman from the beginning to the end was very, very good. Um, his whole like his voiceovers I loved, and I just liked how grounded and dark and dirty Gotham felt as a
Yeah.
city.
And how
Um,
real, but
how
also
real,
like
right? You get
pulpy and comic booky.
yeah, you do get that like and again, probably shouldn't compare them, but I'm going to compare them anyway because it's
Mm.
probably for me now it's like 1-2 um, Batman movies ranking wise, but like Dark Knight was very grounded, but it also had those like because actually just watched it like earlier today,
Mm-hmm.
and it has those moments where it's like I don't know, like like for example like when in the beginning scene when Joker pulls out and he pulls into the convoy of buses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's a bit, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's.
It's a
I'm
bit
surely somebody
conspicuous.
would have seen
Yeah.
something, but this movie really like kind of I feel like leaves no room for that, and that it's very grounded in reality, and that's something I really like about it. But yeah, I give this movie a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
So with that down and out of the way, guys, if you want to check out our spoiler talk, you can come back over here. We might even post that first segment just as a spoiler free video too, just for those of you who really want to stay away from a lot of things. But with that said, let's go ahead and just dive right into our spoiler talk and our spoiler discussion of the Batman. So first off, what are just some things right off the bat that you want to get into?
Um, man.
Well, let's
Well, what?
start.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you want to go?
First
Yeah,
of
yeah.
all, did you think at any point? And I was kind of like, oh, maybe like, did you think that they were gonna kill off Alfred? I was like, this
Yeah,
would
I
be a
mean,
new thing if they
I
did. Like,
definitely thought that they were. Yeah, I mean, when that like hit me when he's like,
yeah,
first of all, great scene where he realizes it, and I love that you kind of get to breathe for a second in the beat of like Gordon realizing that he's talking about Bruce Wayne, but like obviously the audience and Batman already know like from the get that he's going to be talking about Bruce Wayne. So it's like when Gordon looks over and he's gone,
yeah,
you kind of get that moment of satisfaction where you're like, yeah, I got that too. You know what I mean? But
right,
when he calls and the Dory, the like maid or housekeeper or whatever you want to call her, when she's like, that's what I'm trying to tell you, sir. It's already happened. I was like,
uh huh,
oh fuck, like that was fucking crazy. And then kind of the jumping back and forth, realizing that like we're seeing what happened earlier to Alfred, that
hmm
it's already happened. And then when you see the fire and smoke coming out of Wayne Tower, you're like, oh fuck.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of that, like, I think one of my kind of small like problems with the movie was that like riddle specifically. I felt like it was clearly like not I knew like because throughout the movie like Batman already kind of knows the answers before the cops know,
Mm-hmm.
so he's like they're like reading it and he's like, oh, it's this, but like this I felt like I was like I knew it before they even walked in there.
Yeah. No.
It's like
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
felt that
obviously
too.
but like it's obviously Bruce Wayne or
Yeah.
Batman, whatever. Like can't you, like I just felt like it
Mm-hmm.
was like too I don't want to know what it is before those characters do
Yeah.
because I want to watch Batman figure it out and for me to go, oh shit, like that's what that's why he's
Mm-hmm.
the world's greatest detective, is because
Yeah.
he figured it out. And granted, he obviously would have figured it out before the cops, but
Yeah.
not before me. And I don't want to put that together. So if maybe you just word the riddle like a different way
Mm-hmm.
and not make it so easy,
I
I
I
guess.
felt with that it was like because like at that time, or maybe even still, we can talk about that as a whole separate thing, that
Hmm.
at that time, like, we know, but like the Riddler doesn't. So like the Riddler wouldn't know to make it even more complicated for you know what I mean, like, because he just figured it was, just some another case for Batman to solve. He didn't realize that he was the answer. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that Bruce Wayne was the answer. He didn't realize that Batman was Bruce Wayne. So like for me, it was like when the other riddles happened, I was like, okay, those ones were like great detective work and stuff. And then the one that he figured out super easy was just because the Riddler didn't know that he was literally leaving a clue about Bruce Wayne to Bruce Wayne. That's just the way that I took it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um.
definitely, I think you bring up a good point with the detective stuff. Of I think this is without doubt like the definitive, like, you know Batman is a detective. Like we got it a
Yeah.
little bit with Ben
Yeah.
Affleck. Like people were like, oh cool, he's like actually like trying to like solve what's going on
Hmm.
with Superman. Like who's doing this stuff. Like can he be trusted? Like in that we were like, oh finally he's like figuring stuff out. And then like you get this and you're like, Ben Affleck was a detective when, like, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
This is like when right off the bat too. When he sees, his thumb, the mayor's thumb is missing, and he's like, whatever it is, he says, so and so, he was alive when he cut off the finger. You can tell by the markings around the wound and stuff, and like you
Yeah.
can you can tell that like the coroner or whoever that is, like the investigator was like, all right, I was getting to it, like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
could tell that, like, and I think a lot of this movie, um I think it's great that Matt Reeves managed to convey a lot of storytelling in pure silence in this movie.
Hmm.
There's so many times where characters just exchange looks or even nods, but even not even like nods or anything, just straight up looks and gaps in speaking that like convey so much. Like that scene in particular, where like he says that, and then almost immediately you can tell that like that um, guy investigating the body is like, all right, he knows what he's talking about. And then later, obviously, who I think a great MVP of this movie is Martinez, the police officer that kind of you follow his arc of how his feelings kind of change on Batman throughout the
Mm.
movie.
Yeah.
I thought that he was a great little, like, one of those little like minor characters that had a good beginning, middle, and end in this movie. Um, in the end, when he's going through Riddler's apartment and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing in here?" and he just shines the flashlight at him, and then he's like, "Oh, all right, all right," and then he takes the
Yeah.
murder weapon and he's like, "You shouldn't touch that," and
Yeah.
he just looks at him again and he's like, all right, all right."
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. That was so great. Um,
Those little
but yeah,
like those how like the Riddler is always like a step ahead basically throughout the movie, but I love how
yeah,
bringing back like that weapon he used in the first 2 minutes of the movie, like
mm-hmm,
bringing it all the way back
yeah,
into the later act and be like, this is how you reveal the whole big thing. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, for
All
like
about the carpet.
yeah, basically like the two shot, other than this movie being shot like beautifully, like a lot of the shots that I really loved
Mm-hmm.
were him in like the construction tower, and there's some
Oh, like
shots where
where the
like
bat
there
signal
was
is.
yeah, there was like
Mm-hmm.
one like over kind of his head, like looking out to the city. There was one where it was just him. I think it was probably a poster too, but it's him like standing there with Catwoman, and it's got like the city
Yeah.
behind them. Like that looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, but like the one where he jumps off the roof with his like whatever it is, his little
Yeah.
flying suit thing,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and it
like the
like
GoPro
shows his
shot, kind of.
yeah, I hated that. I was like, why is that? I was like,
Oh,
just
really?
show me him flying. I was like,
Yeah.
it just didn't look it just looked dumb to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other shot was when he's walking up to the car after he flipped the Penguin over, and he like leans into the car. I'm like, just get rid of that. Just have him walk up, and then just cut to him putting him against the wall. It's just like these small things where, and another small complaint is, I wasn't bored ever, but I felt the length. And maybe like you just save a few seconds, or a minute or something, and it just feels a little bit
Make
longer.
it a little tighter, like.
Yeah, I just felt like sometimes we held on things where it's like we did not need to hold on that long.
Yeah.
But
like, because the movies, and I should say too, the DP, the director of photography, is Greg Fraser on this, who I think I agree with. I agree with both of what you said. To me, it's like small stuff, but I do agree.
Yeah.
Those two shots in particular definitely, like, obviously they stand out, because it's like the GoPro shot is like, that's the only thing like that in the entire movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the one where he like peeks his head, that's just goofy. So it's like I get it, like, totally. But other than that, I think Greg Fraser did and like you were saying as well, other than that, like, Greg Fraser, I think he did an absolutely great job making
he
this
did
movie
Dune,
look
I
great.
believe, as well.
Yeah, so, and for me, oh gosh, what was I just gonna say? What was the thing that you just said before?
The shot when he's looking with the Penguin and.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like I was gonna say. So the movie comes in at around like 2 hours and 50 minutes. Like, I think if you just trim up a few things here and there, honestly, like there really isn't much you can trim,
Right.
other than like, and we'll get to it, but some people have complained like, well, the movie could have ended like 35 minutes before it actually does, and you would have been fine. But I feel like that is a bad argument. So, like, but actually throughout the movie, I think maybe you could cut a few things here and there and make it like a tighter, like 2 hour and 40 minutes, like get it a little closer to 2.5 than 3 hours. But that being said, I mean, I still really, really enjoyed it. Let's go to what do you think is your favorite like Batman moment, or what's your favorite Batman moment, and then we'll talk about like what our favorite moments of the movie is.
My hands down, my favorite Batman moment was literally just when they're all in like the arena or whatever, and you have all the dudes up on the scoreboard and everything, and you see the whole ceiling light up, and he just like comes down and does like, and then he starts beating dudes up. Oh my god, that was so cool. Yeah. That was like that scene, and the combat looked very good. I thought it looked really like fluid, where he's not like a Michael Keaton kind of suit, like trying to or even Christian Bale kind of looks stiff at times.
Christian Bale was just a lot of like fist fights, and it's like it's like one of my favorite Batman movies. Batman Begins. You're supposed to be a ninja. And, like, yes, I get that you could disappear and you do bring out, like, different moves here and there and stuff. But, like, when you get to Dark Knight Rises, like, that fight with him and Bane, like, let's be honest, like, that was a great fight. I liked that it was, like, the daytime and stuff. Like, that was something we hadn't really seen with the Bale stuff. But really, when it comes down to it, that was just, like, it was just them fist fighting. And it's like, okay, well, that's not very, like, interesting or dynamic to watch. But, like you said, like, this was so, specifically like the rafters in Gotham Square Garden. So I guess we were going full New York equivalent in this movie. But yeah, like in like the rafter scene, like it's just the fighting, and like when he grabs the guy's gun and beats the two guys with the gun and then like knocks him out and stuff. I thought that was great. I would say my favorite like Batman moment would probably be that's such a difficult question, but I would say probably just at the very beginning, the voiceover about the like shadows and stuff, and then just the slow walk, like the fact that multiple times throughout this movie Batman is introduced to a scene.
By the way, just consistently always rains
until the end.
Yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so throughout the movie you see this, but where you hear Batman approach before you actually see him, and then he comes out of the shadows, and like that's something too I really wanted to talk about, was that not even just Batman, but with Riddler and Catwoman too, like there you can hear elements of their like costume, like the
Mm.
sound design in this movie is so really the sound design in this movie is one of the standouts for me. Not only with the sound of certain things, but the Batmobile, which I'll definitely be talking about in a second here. Um, the Batmobile, the gadgets, and then his suit. I mean, you can hear the metal plates like scraping against themselves as he's walking up. He sounds like Boba Fett walking up with like the spurs. Every step that he
Hmm.
takes, there's like the clank of the metal. That shit was just incredible. And then the sound design of the visceral violence of not only Batman beating up the thugs at the beginning and then all the fights he has throughout the movie, but also like when Riddler kills the mayor in the very beginning. um that was like crazy, when just so primal and like brutal, and when Paul Dano lets out that
I
like scream.
I didn't need that. That was much. That
Oh
was too much
really?
for me.
I thought
I
that was
didn't.
great.
Yeah,
I thought that
because
was
he
literally
doesn't
one
do it
of the best
the
parts of
time.
it.
It's the one time he does it.
Well, it's also the only time in the movie that he actually physically kills someone.
That's
So
true.
I think it was like
This
him trying to like.
this movie, I immediately like past that kill. I was like, is this like Saw? Like that's immediately
Yeah.
what I thought of with like
Hmm.
these like traps. Like he had the one dude in like the hamster thing, and then he had the
Yeah.
dude with the bomb around his neck. I was like, and he actually gave the one dude the Peter Skarsgård's character or Skarsgård, kill Gil, sorry, the DA. He actually gave him a chance to live.
Yeah.
You know,
But he
unlike the
wouldn't
other
do
guys,
it. Yeah.
he wouldn't do it. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I'll go with we'll go with just my favorite scene or moment in the entire movie was definitely, well, I shouldn't say that. My favorite scene of the entire movie was definitely the Batmobile chase with Penguin. I mean,
Mm,
that was just like, again, the sound of the
mm.
engine, and when the I mean, you get like a 45-second thing of just the Batmobile gearing up, to launch kind of into to kind of launch into the actual chase and stuff. And he kind of like fakes Penguin out. He like gets it all revved up, and then he kind of like scoots forward and then hits on the brakes just so that Penguin would get into his car. And then of course the great like the upside down shot of Batman walking towards him and everything. And again, something I don't even think we've mentioned yet is the score. I mean, Michael Giacchino
Oh
just
yeah,
the fucking like
that score was
destroyed
whew,
the like
very good.
literally
Yeah.
just knocked it out of the park. And that's, I mean, Michael Giacchino is Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, the Spider-Man trilogy, Tom Holland, a bunch of other MCU stuff, Star Trek. Like, I mean, this guy has done, countless things just over the past 10, 15 years that are great. And to me, I think he has completely blown away anything that he's previously done,
Hmm.
with this movie. Just the like pounding, like it almost feels like the music is like the heartbeat of the movie. Like it's so I don't know, man. It's just so like primal or like animalistic, I guess, like the way that it sounds. Like it makes you
Hmm.
feel like even something like the Batmobile makes it feel like it's alive. Like when it jumps
Yeah.
out of the fire, it literally feels like an animal jumping out like at Penguin. Like how is this thing still going? And it's just amazing to me. But
Yeah.
what would you say your favorite scene of the actual movie is?
Um. Honestly, it was like one of my favorite scenes was probably just kind of the reveal of like getting the weapon that he used for the first murder, using it
Mm-hmm.
in its like intended use almost,
Yeah.
and then ripping the carpet up and seeing all these lights like blink and boom, 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 and the whole kind of reveal of what he's been planning. I thought was fantastic, and Batman kind of looking around trying to take it all in, figure out what's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't. did you like the? I don't know. Like, did you like the? And this might be something that just keeps me from loving the movie. Like, I really, really liked it. I enjoyed myself, but I did not love the movie. Did you like the whole kind of, oh, I'm gonna flood the city and force all these people into the arena where was he trying to kill everybody or just the kind of political people? Like, what was
I
the?
think at that point it was just he was just trying to kill whoever he could.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was the whole idea was that he was trying to do like a kind of like a Noah's Ark, like flood him out and whoever survives survives type of thing.
Okay.
That's what I took it as. But also, I mean, the flooding, like it wasn't the entire city too, like because like we see at the end, like when Catwoman and Batman like say goodbye, that there's like the highways and like cars and stuff still on the street. I think it was
Yeah.
mainly just the lower half of the actual like city
Mm.
was happening with it. Um, like right by the seawall. But yeah, I mean, I really loved that. Yeah, I thought that was great. See, I had stayed away from anything but basically the first trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never watched the. I think I watched the first teaser where he walks out in the suit. Like that was like 2.5 years
Oh
ago.
yeah.
But then I watched
Yeah.
the first main trailer, and then after that, I didn't watch the follow up trailer, and I didn't watch the trailer called like the Bat and the Cat or whatever.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I didn't watch that.
which then, so I actually thought that the movie was over. I actually in my first watch was gonna be like, all right, well now I am upset with the movie when they catch the Riddler at the diner because I was like, that was the main scene in the first trailer. I'm
I
like,
thought they might end it there.
that's where I no that is genuinely where I thought the movie would
Yeah.
end because I tried everything that I could and I did. I turned my watch off and I didn't look at my phone because I did not want any concept of how much time had passed at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I was like, has it already been 3 hours? I was like, I guess it's already been 3 hours. They're catching him. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. I was like, they reveal that they catch the Riddler like in the first trailer. But then I was like, holy shit, there's like 45 more minutes of movie
Yeah.
left. So I really liked that. And then I think too, I think the movie needs that to complete its whole arc because, I think the Riddler intended it as like a Noah's Ark, like, you know, kill anybody that it can kill kind of like force of nature thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think it turned into kind of almost like a baptism for like Gotham and for Batman, especially obviously when he falls fully into the water and then
That
guides them out and stuff.
that was another thing that didn't quite work for me is that he
Really?
he jumps on the cable, cuts it, and
Yeah.
it's like this big dramatic thing, and then he just gets up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why did we make it the way, it's kind of like,
Hmm.
because in my head, I'm like, okay, well, that's like electrical the way we're looking at it. If it falls in the water, they're all going to die,
Well, he
right? Like,
cuts it, so the current
right, he
he
cuts
absorbed
it
the
and then
current.
oh, that's what it is.
Yeah,
He
that's why
absorbs
he
it.
cut
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
yeah, that
I
was
was
actually
like
one of my
really
favorite moments of
confused.
the movie. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was one of my favorite moments when all the sound except for like his breathing cuts out,
Hmm.
and he cuts the wire and stuff. I thought that was great. And again, I think it's just one of those things where like he gets back up, but he didn't know if he was gonna get back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's
when
true.
he
Hmm.
makes those decisions, he's like, well, if this kills me, it kills me, but it's not gonna kill these people. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because like he sees that that box is damaged. It's about to hit the water.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have to act, otherwise all these people
Yeah.
are
And
gonna
that
get
and that's
electrocuted.
and that's right after the guy says, we're vengeance or I'm vengeance. And,
Yeah,
he kind of has that change of, ideology on what he has to do to make the
yeah.
city better. Is
Which
he doesn't
again, I
have to
thought that was
instill
I
fear, he
thought
has to
that
give
was
people hope.
the single like core and heart of the movie was it was when that guy says, I'm vengeance. It's like everything clicks for Bruce in that moment, and he's like, okay, because in the beginning he says, I don't understand what's happening. I've been doing this for 2 years, and he says crime's up, murder's up, and like the drug scene is worse than ever. I'm beginning to think that I'm not making a difference.
Hmm.
Um, and then right in that moment, he's like, okay, that's why I'm not making a difference.
Hmm.
Yes, frightening people into not committing crime is going to work for some things, but for other things, it's just going to radicalize even worse people. Um, and then, I think at the end, then what is my absolute favorite moment of the movie, not favorite scene, but like favorite single thing, is at the end when he's helping the girl onto the stretcher and she's like reaching out for him and doesn't want to let him go, and he grabs her hand and like tells her like it's gonna be okay, like, and holds her hand up all the way until the helicopter takes her up. Um and I was just like, that was just, I mean, I was almost like, I was emotional in that scene.
Mm.
I thought that worked so well for me. Of him realizing, he has to be more than just like fear. He has to be a symbol of hope. He has to be a symbol of fear for criminals, but the people of Gotham need a hopeful figure to, kind of rally around. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I really love that.
Let's talk about Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, which
Yeah.
we really have not talked about. Or maybe we can. And that kind of leads into Joe Turturro as Falcone
Hmm.
in this movie, not
Yeah.
Falcone.
They're really playing fast and loose with the names in this one.
Which I think it's probably fair they did that just so you could make
Falcon.
so it was easier to make the jump with the Falcon thing.
Yeah. I think that's exactly why they did it too.
Yeah. What'd you think of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman?
I thought she was great. I thought her. I had no question in my mind that she's the best Catwoman that we've gotten. I
Hmm.
still think Holly Berry's a close second. No, but no, but really, I think she like just out of the park. Like so good. I think she took elements from Anne Hathaway and from Michelle Pfeiffer, and
Hmm.
really, and then added everything else of her own, and really just kind of made it this brand new sort of thing. And I really, really liked that. I thought that was great. I thought that she was super effective in every scene that she was in. Um, yeah, I thought that was great. I thought she was great throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I thought her and Rob Pattinson had great chemistry between each other.
Hmm.
I liked kind of her, subplot of her and, Carmine as her dad, but he doesn't know, he's her dad and this whole thing. Um, which I did feel it's some I was kind of in and out on it. Like sometimes I was like I care about this, sometimes I was like I don't really care. Um, I think when well, we're in spoilers, but when he died, I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, and she gives that look, and I was
Hmm.
kind of like, okay, like, I kind of feel something, but
Yeah.
I was kind of in and out on that subplot because it is also kind of, it is kind of in and out throughout the movie, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's
You're
like
not
a
with them all
end
the time.
of the second act reveal. It's like very late in the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought, Joe Turturro as Carmine was fantastic. I loved everybody's kind of mob. I don't even know what you'd call it. Like I was like, this feels like I'm watching just like another mob movie almost with the way they're kind
Yeah.
of using the mannerisms and
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
know.
think that's a big thing about this movie is that really it in the Venn diagram of like film genre, it has way
Mhm.
more in common with like Goodfellas than it does Avengers Endgame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or even honestly, it has more in common with like Goodfellas than The Dark Knight. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, because it's a totally different it's a totally different approach. I mean, it's a different like animal. It's the way that they came about it. It's like, you know, it's not about Batman being a superhero. It's about Batman. It's about the man. You know what I mean? Like it's about the
Mhm.
man, Batman, or the man
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne.
Which they
Like,
literally, I think they only say it once. They call him Vengeance most of the time.
yeah, they do say it. They do say it more than once. I think it's
Oh,
three
okay.
because I saw in Chris Stuckman's review. He was like, I think they only say it once. They say it once, like profoundly, which is like at the end
Uh,
when Jim, is that what you were talking about when Gordon's like the end of what, and he's like the end of the Batman or whatever.
mhm.
um but they do say it when they give him the letter and they're like to the Batman, is this, is this you or something. um but yeah, they say it very, I think it's only like two or three times, like that's it. Because otherwise they just don't really call him anything. or like you said, they just call him like Mr. Vengeance, or Vengeance over
Yeah.
here. Like, yeah, I thought that was great. And all right, let's talk about Vengeance over here. Let's lead on to Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Mhm.
Just absolutely incredible. So good in this movie and in this role. Like, no habla español, fellas. Huh? Like,
Mhm.
that's some of the worst Spanish I've ever heard. Um, I thought that he was absolutely like a very bright spot in an already
Mhm.
fantastic movie, but I thought that he just added so much more. And I like that kind of it was a little bit of a little bit of an origin story for him, that he is the Penguin already. He is like this ruthless guy with all this like street cred of being this ruthless guy and stuff, but he's not like running his empire. You know what I mean? He's like a lackey for Falcone in this movie.
Mhm.
And I thought that was awesome, that it's like, yes, he already has this reputation as being this tough guy, but he's not quite the Penguin that we know, of being this ruthless, Falcone level guy himself. And I'm excited to see where that goes. But
Yeah.
what were some of your thoughts?
No, I completely agree. Like one of my favorite scenes with Colin Farrell as Penguin was when they're arresting Falcone and they're dragging him out, and he starts calling him out, and
Yeah,
then they shoot Falcone. The Riddler does,
yeah,
and they tackle
yeah,
Penguin. He's like, "Oh, I didn't shoot.
yeah.
What are
He's
you
like, I
doing?"
didn't shoot. What are you doing to me? Yeah, that was funny. Oh my
And
god.
he's another guy who like I feel like I'm supposed to laugh more at him just
Hmm.
because he's this bombastic personality character. Um, whereas I feel like Paul Dano is like he's scared. Like he's just like to me, he's just like honestly just looking at him as a regular person, he's pretty terrifying. Like just Paul Dano is just kind of
Oh,
creepy. Um, yeah,
yeah.
I really like him, but I'm just
Hmm.
saying like in like his interviews, like he just like
Yeah.
all I see is the Riddler now sometimes.
Hmm.
And so when in the beginning when you see him, he's a serial killer throughout the entire movie and everything. It's kind of like I feel like I'm supposed to be more scared of him and not be laughing at him as much as I am.
Hmm.
Whereas the Penguin is kind of like he's kind of this I almost want to say side character, I guess, who gets a little bit uh you know he is a lackey, but he's still kind of there.
Yeah.
And I feel better laughing at him because he's like not the main villain.
Hmm.
I
Well,
guess is
yeah, and
my
I do think too, like a lot of people online are saying like that this movie's like humorless, and it's like, no, it's
no,
just a
it's no,
different
I
type of
disagree with
humor.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, like
there's
it's just a
definitely humor.
different type of humor, and I do feel like I do feel like the Riddler is inherently like a comedic figure in Batman. So
Mhm.
I think it's okay to like laugh at like some of the things like you said when he says like goodbye, like when he like, stuff like that, or like in the, one-on-one interview when he starts, which is another thing we could talk about, when he starts singing
He
Ave
starts
Maria again. I think that stuff like is intentionally supposed to make you laugh, because you're just like,
yeah.
this guy's just unhinged. Which, by the way, in that
Mhm.
scene, Robert Pattinson says the best word that Batman says, which is psychopath.
Yeah.
Because I just love that it's like when British people do American accents, they can't pronounce psychopath, so
Psychopath.
they always
Yeah.
just say
Psychopath.
psychopath. And he said it exactly the way that Christian Bale said it, and I was just like, yes. I was so happy that he said it. But in that scene too, I think it's just supposed to show like, yeah, this guy is just like, he's just absolutely unhinged from not only reality, but he's unhinged like from himself. Like he just doesn't even know
Yeah.
what is going on. Um, and I like too in that scene, the like interrogation scene kind of, or the Arkham visitors wing, if whatever you want to call that. I like too that we did see a little bit of Bruce's own fear of, the Riddler keeps saying Bruce Wayne, like,
Oh,
and
okay. Wait a
Batman,
minute.
yeah.
I took that as like he knew that that was him. No.
I think, well, the words that are presented to us, no. But I think he
Okay.
probably does know, but he just doesn't care.
Oh, okay. Because
Because,
I told Danielle, I was like, why wouldn't you? And she was like, maybe he just wants to hold it over his head that he knows. I was like, oh, that'd be an
mhm,
interesting thing.
yeah.
But I was like, why wouldn't you put that out there? because that's what I thought was gonna happen. Was
Yeah.
like everybody's gonna find out that it's him, and then the next movie is gonna be like you know. I guess it's kind of like Spider-Man No Way Home, except
Yeah.
No Way Home was kind of like, oh well,
I
you
did
know,
I
Sleep
did
got
have a
away.
feeling that might come up. I did think
Yeah.
on the first watch when he's got all the like I know who the real Batman is, or I know the real
Hmm.
Batman,
He literally has a
but
picture of him. He has a picture of like
yeah, but
from
I
that.
think that's the intention is the intention
Yeah.
is we're supposed to think, oh, he's gonna reveal who it is,
Yeah.
and then when it doesn't happen, it's like I took it as like because you see when he keeps saying Bruce Wayne and stuff, you see Batman. He's looking at the security camera and he's like, shit. He's
Mm.
like, this is being recorded that he's
Yeah.
saying that I'm Bruce Wayne right now, and then he keeps saying it a couple more times, and then he goes, he's the only one we didn't get. Like, and then he
Yeah.
realize, and then that's the moment you realize whether he knows or not, he's playing it off as like, oh, Bruce Wayne, that Bruce Wayne, he's the one that got away. Me and Batman
Yeah.
didn't get him, did we? And
Yeah.
I thought that was a great moment of seeing Bruce's, kind of fear that he thinks that the Riddler's about to out his secret, and then kind of
Mm.
realizing, and I think you're absolutely right that I think he is kind of, if he does know, holding it over his head,
Mm.
knowing like, well, I know this thing about you, but we'll just keep that between us for now. Something like that. It's kind of the same way that like in the comics, like Joker and Riddler have both found out who he is, and they just
Mm.
don't care because it's like
Mm.
then there's no fun in it.
Right. Yeah.
Because like it's more fun to mess with Batman and do
Mm.
whatever they want to with him than just be like, well, Bruce Wayne is Batman. Then there's no
Yeah.
fun in it. Then he gets arrested and the game is over.
Right.
But yeah, like, and also just the song, like Ave Maria, like starting off the movie, and then kind of being Riddler's like theme throughout the film. I thought that was great. And then the reveal that like Riddler was one of the kids in the like choir singing it at Thomas Wayne's like a mayoral announcement or whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
That he was like there was so cool. Um, yeah, I really like that, and the fact too that like a lot of the stuff about orphans and stuff
Yeah,
like that they connect on that.
Yeah. Speaking of those two characters, probably the biggest spoiler in the entire movie. What did you think of the Arkham meeting of Paul Dano's Riddler and what we can assume is Barry Keoghan's Joker? In this, I don't know. It's probably like 2 minutes, right? It wasn't very long.
Yeah, I would.
What did you
I
think of
mean,
that scene?
well, all right. We'll start with the scene itself because I have thoughts on
Yeah.
like the actual like Joker or whatever. But
Right, yeah.
the scene itself, uh, I think it's kind of weird because this movie is such a weird like juxtaposition against itself, I guess, that it's so far removed from the comic book genre, but it is the closest representation of a comic book on the big screen we've ever gotten. Like it is
Mhm.
so much a comic book, like in its structure and even its writing style and like the overall everything. It's so much like a comic book. I would have liked them to go a little bit further with the comic book route and just go and just make it an end credit. Just make it an end
That's what I
credit
was
scene.
thinking. I thought that could have been an end credit.
But I get that like probably they didn't want to do an end credit because they're like, well, we want to separate it, structurally from a comic book movie, even
Mhm.
though they structured it like a comic book. So that I can get, I guess, or at least maybe just make it the very last scene of the movie or something. I just felt like where it was placed was a little off.
So kind of
And
shoehorned in there, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if it was something that they felt that they needed to put in there, or if it was something that Matt Reeves wanted to, because I saw that Matt Reeves said that there's a deleted scene where Batman and
Yeah.
Joker actually meet,
Right.
or Batman and the unnamed inmate
Unseen
actually
Arkham
meet.
prisoner. Yeah.
Yeah. Like earlier in the movie that Batman's like studying serial killers, which I thought that was good. So maybe if that was in there, it would have helped out this moment later on a little bit. But I thought it was an okay scene. I thought it was an okay scene, and I thought that it shouldn't have been where it was. So overall,
Mhm.
I would say I didn't really like that. And then the actual Joker himself. Granted, we only see a little bit of it, but I mean, I am not a fan of the clearly looking like thick prosthetic or whatever was going on there. Like, I feel like you could, with Barry Keoghan, you could definitely just go more of a Heath Ledger route and just kind of put some like scarring and stuff. But he almost looked like,
People are saying he looked like Arkham
I was just gonna say
Joker,
that. Yeah,
Arkham
he
game
almost
Joker.
looked like the Arkham game Joker. Like, I have a feeling that if we see his full face, he's gonna have like a long, extended, pointy
Chin.
chin and like huge cheekbones and stuff. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. And it looked. The
Yeah.
main issue was it looked like makeup. Even the little bit that we saw, it
Yeah.
looked like he had a mask on. And I'm like, that's not what the Joker should look like. Like,
Mm.
you gotta do a little bit better job doing that. Like, but if they're gonna go for like a super comic book accurate look, go for it. Just make it look as good as you possibly can. And I'm gonna give it a pass because you only see it for like maybe 10 seconds, and it's only a part of his face. But yeah, and it looked like he had like almost like the Killing Joke like spiked out like
Yes, I did
hair.
know. I couldn't see much, but that's something I thought I noticed where I thought his hair kind of looked like it was like
Yeah,
flowing out.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you on the scene again. I thought it felt kind of just kind of thrown in there. I think maybe if you, I think maybe you just
like
cut. Yes, yes, that is what I thought.
that's almost exactly what I feel like he looks like.
But I was like, if you're gonna cut the other one, you might as well just cut this one too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if we need the introduction. Like I think maybe it's just like well, he's coming. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, we just got Joker in 2019.
Yeah.
Obviously not related to this, movie, but and then we got Dark Knight, obviously. So yeah, I thought the scene was, okay. Again, it was kind of weirdly placed in there. I couldn't really see his face, honestly. Like I think I kind of, because it's kind of like you have to like focus in on his like outline of his like jaw, kind of. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like to like really see, and I just couldn't do that. But I did see
Yeah.
like the hair you were talking about. What'd you think of the laugh? The laugh, I was like, I mean, that's
It just
okay.
seemed like
Like
a yeah, like a standard Joker laugh. Like, I
again,
feel like it was very
it's
again, yeah,
it's hard because it's like it's gonna be compared to the other two. Like it
yeah.
just is. Like would I love to have a Heath Ledger laugh? Yes. Like I would take Joaquin Phoenix laugh
Mm-hmm.
even. Um, so it's really hard. I don't know how was
Or
the
Mark Hamill.
how Mark oh yeah, Mark Hamill, can't forget about Mark Hamill. How was the CW laugh or like the Joker taken? Was that not great or
There is no Joker in the
I thought
CW.
what was it, Gotham or
Gotham
something?
has
What was that?
Joker. Yeah, Gotham
Oh, is
has
that
Joker.
Fox?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. I never watched all of Gotham. And I
Hmm.
didn't stick around for like the Jerome years when like you know, Cameron Moynihan was playing Joker. Um but I think it was more of like a deep like cuz I definitely have seen clips. I think it was more of like a deeper like kind of like cackle. Then this was almost like a hyena. Like,
That's exactly what Danielle said. Yeah.
yeah.
She said she thought it was like the hyenas from Lion King or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for, like the sequels that I'm assuming they're already doing. They're doing the Penguin show. They're doing a like Gotham Police show as well, I believe.
Yeah, like a GC. And then Matt Reeves said that one of them is gonna maybe the one that Matt Reeves brought up, maybe that is the GCPD show, but he said that one of them is gonna like have you focus on Arkham Asylum. So
Yeah,
maybe that's gonna be
I
the
assumed
same
it was
was as the
police.
police station. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we get, I guess, I mean, if you can get Colin Farrell for a HBO Max, series, you probably
Hmm.
get like Paul Dano or Barry Keoghan or whoever.
Yeah.
I would like to see like as much as I like the Joker and seeing that character, I would love to see them try their hand again at like Mr. Freeze or something.
Yeah. Definitely.
We don't have to have, and this is what I think a lot of people were saying before this movie came out. Like, a year or two ago. It's like we don't need the Joker again already. We just got him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other villains you can
Hmm.
explore without bringing the Joker in, but
And I
you know,
think there could be a good chance that maybe the next movie isn't the Joker. I mean,
yeah,
I
that's
think there
true.
could just be I think there really could be a chance that well, I think it's a very good possibility that Batman is the one who maybe already put him there. And, cuz a
Yes,
lot of
yeah.
people are assuming like, "Oh, the Joker exists and he's in Arkham." It's like, "Well,
Hmm.
Batman's been doing this for 2 years. Maybe Batman's the one that put him in Arkham." We don't there's no indication that Riddler's the first person that Batman's, locked up in Arkham Asylum. Um,
Hmm.
so I think there's a good chance of that. And I do think there's a good chance that it's just like, hey, the Joker exists in this world, and, we'll get to it eventually type of thing. Because
Yeah.
if you want to start talking a little bit about, where we think things might go, uh, I think we've never had a better tee up for a universe or a Gotham for Court of Owls than we have with this one. Like I think that would be like a complete logical next step to go.
Well, yeah, I see a lot of people talking about this. I don't know really much about the Court of Owls.
Mm,
So, what is like why are people getting I mean, I think like Robert Pattinson has said that he would love to see that as like
yeah.
in this trilogy. But like where are people getting the idea that that's where it's going?
Well, a
Is it
lot
just
of
from what
it
they've been
is
saying or
like so I guess like a good way to say it is like in the Dark Knight movies, I would say the Court of Owls probably wouldn't work because the Dark Knight trilogy is very much like what if Batman and Joker and Two-Face and Scarecrow, what if they
Mhm.
existed in the world that we live in? Like, they kind of took like the MCU approach, which is like this is the world
Mm,
that we exist in. What
yeah.
happens if there is X? Whereas the Batman world is very much like, I would expect that there's like Man Bat living in the sewers or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Or what
that's
is
kind
that
of
guy, that surgeon with the pig mask? What's his name? I remember him from
oh yeah,
think
I
Arkham
isn't it
Knight.
just Pig
Oh, it might
or
be
some?
just be
I
pig.
think
Yeah.
I think so. But yeah, I know who you're talking about. Uh, so the Court of Owls is basically this organization of people of the rich and
Professor Pig.
elite.
Professor Pig.
Professor Pig. There we go. It's basically like this organization of the rich and powerful of Gotham that basically are running everything behind the scenes, like everything in
Oh, kind of like the
Gotham.
Illuminati.
Yeah, kind of, basically, yeah. And that just feels like that would absolutely fit into this world because it's like, yeah, sure, has okay, yeah, the country or at least the city has been run by this like underground group of like 150 people that are like these crazy zealots. Like, yeah, I think that would totally make sense in this world. Same way that
Hmm.
it would make sense in like the Arkham world. Like I think that this is basically like the closest we've gotten of like the Arkham games on the big screen, especially the suit. I know I said that in my quick out of the theater review that his suit is definitely the best live action Batman suit, like without a doubt.
Hmm.
And more specifically, I think it is basically the closest representation we've gotten of a live action version of specifically I'll say the Arkham Knight suit with all the metal plating and the way that it
Yeah.
moves with itself, and kind of you feel the weight of the suit in every scene. Specifically, one of the scenes that I was like, "Damn, that suit!" Like him in the suit, Batman feels like an immovable object. You know what I mean? Like when Catwoman is breaking into Miller's apartment to steal
Hmm.
to crack the safe and steal the passport back, and
Yeah.
her and Batman get into like a little bit of a fight, and she's kicking him and punching him and stuff, and he's just like absorbing it, and she's like giving it everything, and the suit is just like taking it. Uh, and I just thought that was like a great scene of like just showing how tough the suit is and stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that you could go Court of Owls. I think that you could go a little bit more like deep into, like you said, maybe like a Mr. Freeze, or maybe other villains that are, haven't gotten that great of a time in the spotlight. Like, honestly, like Riddler, like Jim Carrey did
Hmm.
a great job for what he was doing with it, which was very different from, what Paul Dano was doing. And I think that that's all well and good. But I do think that, like, there's room for so many different people. Like, you could even do a great, like, Poison Ivy movie, like, not a Poison
Yeah.
Ivy movie, but a Batman movie where Poison Ivy is one, either the main villain or one of the main villains. I think a lot of the more, like, mystical, weird, just like totally out there villains, like a Mr. Freeze could definitely work in this. Like, maybe Mr. Freeze is, he's a serial killer that's like, freezes his victims or something,
Yeah.
instead of a crazy guy with like a freeze gun that's like, oh, let me put you on ice,
Mhm.
like, I think
Hey,
you could
just
go
saved
a
my
lot more
wife.
realistic. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think that
Um,
you could totally translate all that dark past and stuff with Mr. Freeze and make him a super great character.
yeah. So can we both agree that that kid is Robin? Like, I
What
feel
kid?
like we kept coming back to the mayor, the dead mayor's kid.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it was just
I
he was looking at him and seeing himself every time he saw him.
Yeah. I don't know.
It
I
could
just
be
got big
though.
Robin vibes when we just kept rescuing him, and he, granted, his parents aren't dead, so it's not like he doesn't have a family.
Hmm.
But I just kept getting those vibes. Maybe that's something. I feel like maybe we. I
I
feel like
could
at
see
this
a
point,
Robin joining this world.
yeah, I just feel like at this point, maybe Batman's not ready to have a bat like a
Yeah,
have a Robin. I feel like he's got to keep working on himself probably to get to that point.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that kept seeing. I kept seeing that kid, and I was just like, that looks like a Robin to me. But that was just
Hmm.
me.
I think that's another good point you bring up about Batman working on himself. That so many people I've seen have been like, "Oh, he's a terrible Bruce Wayne." Like, Bruce Wayne's not supposed to be like
Hmm.
this like shut away, like, locked up guy. And it's like, that's the whole point of this movie, is that there is no Bruce Wayne. Like, that's what Alfred says to him, like, you have to care about your other life, otherwise you're just going to completely disappear. And
Hmm.
he's like, I don't care about, the accountants from Wayne Enterprises. And it's like, well, then you're going to be left with nothing. And guess what, buddy? Batman don't work if you don't have money to put into it. You know what I mean? And so I think that, like, people specifically were like, well, he didn't do enough, like, partying, or like, he's not like the billionaire playboy type of,
He did.
Bruce
He went
Wayne.
to that club.
He did go to that club. He was very sad though. He was not partying. Um, and but like, that's the thing, is that, like, similar to in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, a lot of people were like, well, he doesn't feel like Spider-Man. There's stuff missing. Why isn't he a photographer? And then No Way Home was like, bro, you just watched 3 movies that were the origin story. Now he's
Hmm.
ready to do all that stuff, to live in New York, to become a photographer. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're seeing kind of similar things with Batman and Bruce Wayne in this movie. That it's like, well, he's not a perfect Bruce Wayne because he's not there yet, type of thing.
Hmm.
But that being said, I think, all right. So let's close out with. Do you
Last
think?
quick
Oh
thing,
yeah.
I did like. I thought was funny that when I forget how far into the movie it is, but when he goes up to talk to Alfred, and it's sunny out, and he like has to put sunglasses on
Oh
because he's
yeah.
just not used to like the sun. I
Yeah.
thought
No, that was
that was
great. When it's too bright in their, like, dining
good.
room, he goes.
Yeah,
I love when he goes. Oh, there's some fresh berries over there for you, and he, like, grabs them and he just, like, doesn't even eat it. He's like, what is
yeah.
this? Um, but yeah, to close out here, where does this rank in your Batman ranking?
This
You could say
is
the movie and his Batman.
okay. So the movie for me is number two to Dark Knight. Like,
Hmm.
I would love for it to be number one, but I just maybe if I see it again, I'll change my tune. But for me, it's still number two to The Dark Knight. It just you know just that's the comparison I'm going to make. For Batman, I'd probably he's probably number he's up there. He's definitely up there. He's probably number one. I have to watch the movie again. But just the whole detective thing and him, even like I said, like the whole kind of combat, it feels so like fluid. Like it felt very Arkham game to me, where that fighting style is very like do. You know, it's like the person's coming behind you, block. But you could still like he gets shot sometimes. He absorbs it.
Got shot with
stunned.
a double barrel shotgun and right in the chest. Oh my god!
We didn't even talk about the adrenaline / venom, whatever that was.
Oh, yeah,
it was just adrenaline probably, but it was green, so it's kind of like you know. But yeah, I'd probably put him in number one.
Mm-hmm. I would probably say for him as Batman, I think for all the reasons you just said, I think he probably would be number one. In terms of like best on-screen Batman we've had, just because he's so accurate and like the detective stuff and you know just everything about it, as well as the fighting style and everything like that you said. I'd put him in number one. And then for me, so my favorite Batman movie is always Batman Begins. So for me, I don't have to ask myself, is it better than The Dark Knight? Because for me, it already is better than The Dark Knight. But is it better than Batman Begins, which is my all-time favorite Batman movie? I would have to say yes. So I would say I think on second viewing, and I definitely was not sure after my first viewing. Like I absolutely was not ready to make that commitment to saying that. But after seeing it a second time, I think it definitely locked in that as of right now, it's definitely, I think, the best Batman movie that we've had. Just because The Dark Knight, you know, has some issues that are like a little too like, you know, it has some logic issues and stuff. Whereas I feel like this is just such like yes, it's sprawling and it is long, and sometimes I would say on the second viewing I did feel the length and everything, but I appreciated it once it was, you know, once it all happened. I really appreciated all of it a second time through. But for me, the story that it's telling, I think, is still the best story we've gotten in a Batman movie, for sure. And then I think filmmaking-wise, it's the best made Batman movie. You know,
yeah,
no offense to Chris Nolan, but yeah. Yeah, so anything else that we need to cover, or anything else you can think of?
I don't think so. I think that's it. I'm excited for more. I will say that.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get it faster than, you know, the 6 years that it took us to get to this day of seeing this movie. Hopefully we could see, like, you know, the Batman 2 in, like, 2024 or 5 at least, you know, hopefully not another, like, 4 years. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. This first iteration of, you know, Pattinson's Batman and stuff. So big win, I think, for both of us. Again, just want to make sure you guys know to be following us at the official PFN on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We are posting there almost daily on those platforms. That'll do it for me, guys. I have been one of your hosts, Sean Monk. Thank you guys for joining us for this review.
Yeah, I was your other host, TJ Cornwell. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the Batman in the comments below. What you liked, what you didn't like, and what you hope to see in the future. Check out our other reviews on the channel, our other reactions. Make sure to subscribe to PFN Live, which is where we host our weekly live show on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to PFN Gaming. Follow them on Twitch as well. And we'll see you next time.
Boom.